Oh, oh. It looks like the camera decided to change places. Oh, there we are. Okay, dokie. Well, it's 2025. Uh, oh wait. You know, we were on break. It has been a while. I do not know why. Pro- Oh, Joby, could you speak for me real quick?
Yo.
Okay, cool, awesome. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. you know, this is what happens when you live broadcast. Everything just gets topsy turvy. It's cool.
Got to work through the technical problems.
Exactly, exactly. So, I guess for posterity, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, enemies of all ages, welcome back to the United We Nerd podcast. First episode of 2025. I am your host, Brian Saber. And joining me today is not the usual Joel that you see by my side, because we have our friend Joby back here today. Joby, how are
What
you?
is up, everybody? Glad to be here. Thank you, Brian, for having me once again. Excited
Yes,
to be joining for the first episode of 2025.
I know. It's a special occasion. It's not usual that Joel had to step away for personal reasons today, so he couldn't be here. He will be back next time. But we get to have just a one-on-one, you and me. Get to have a good time, have a good conversation, talk a whole bunch of
Heck
nerdy
yeah,
stuff.
man. Gonna nerd out tonight.
Hell yeah. But of course, before we get to that, I just want to let everybody know that you can watch the show live on twitch.tv/. United We Nerd and join us in the chat, have conversations along with us live, or you can hang out in the VOD realm on youtube.com/, at United We Nerd. Like, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about this episode, what your thoughts are about the topics we're going to get to today. But before I do that, I just want to let everybody know that here on the live chat, if you hit exclamation LA, if you feel so inclined, a lot of people right now in SoCal LA are going through a very, very rough time, to be underestimated, like simplified, with the LA fires. So, if you would like to donate to the LA Regional Food Bank, hit exclamation point LA in the chat, and it'll send you to a direct website that you can go to donate. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, if I can figure it out, there should be a fundraiser annotation below the video, and if not, I will leave the link as well as in the description. We have a lot of good friendos in the LA area that would very, very much need your help. So if you can, please help donate. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be, a little, but a little goes a long way. So everybody in LA, you're in our thoughts. We hope that you get through this, and until then, we will try to help alleviate some of that by just, you know, having some fun being nerds. And of course, by doing that today, we will be talking a little bit about Switch 2 hypotheticals and possible reveal later this week, as well as some other things. But before we do that, Joby, how was your winter break? What did you do?
Oh man. Well, first, I just want to say it's great that you guys are doing the helping out the LA Food Bank. I've got some family down there and some coworkers and friends who were affected by the fires. So
Oh,
um,
damn.
just parroting what you were saying, anything that can be given, like you said, a little goes a long way. And I know that anyone who is down there would greatly appreciate anything that you can contribute. That being said, my winter break didn't really have much of a winter break.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
we do the kind of stuff that we usually do every year. Had some family over. Had a great time hosting everybody in my tiny apartment, which you can kind of see some of behind me. Had my sister and her kids. My cousins were over for the first time, which was great. It's a nice little family dinner. Opened some presents. Her kids are very little still, so it's
Oh,
nice to relive that magic of passing out gifts, going one at a time. Everyone's opening presents, seeing the excitement
Ch-
on their face, and remembering
the child's
childhood
wonder.
memories.
Yep.
Yeah, that childhood magic of the holidays. And then one of my best friends in the world was up for actually from LA for the holidays. So we got to spend some
Oh,
time together. We went to a New Year's party together. That was really fun. And then he took me to see a DJ that I've never seen at a
oh.
concert here in San Francisco, which was really fun.
What was the DJ?
I believe his name was Salute,
Oh, okay.
DJ Salute. He's a European DJ, from what I understand. I don't know too much
Hmm.
about him, but it was really fun. I'm not so hip on the house music EDM scene, so I haven't been to many concerts like that, but it was a lot of fun to go to. Definitely would go again.
Nice.
And then I actually got sick.
Oh no, you
Yeah,
got the
so I'm actually
bug.
on. I got the bug. I had a touch of
Damn.
strep throat last week.
Ugh.
So on the tail end of recovering from that, and then unfortunately my fiance got it as well. It was
And then
so we
the
had to.
dominoes fall.
The dominoes fell. It was unfortunate because yesterday was her birthday,
Oh no.
and so we spent the day watching TV on the couch because we were both sick.
Hey, you know what? Minus the sickness, sometimes just having a lazy chill birthday is okay. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I can also being sick on your birthday is also a downer. But you work with what you got, and it sounds like you guys had a nice chill day.
It was. It was. It was really nice. Thankfully, I didn't have work that day, so we were both able to just fully relax, just kind of enjoy each other's company for her birthday. Um, and yeah, I mean that was my winter break. What about you? What did you end up doing?
So, for my winter break, I went with my partner and their family to go back to Virginia to see their mom's side of the family. This was a trip that we were planning on doing in 2020, but
Yeah,
2020 happened, so
we don't talk about that big C.
no, we don't talk about the global disappointment that was 2020. But no, it was really nice. It's been a long time coming. I've seen some of their Virginia family, like every now and again, if they would have come over here for like a family event or something like that, or they were just visiting. But this was the first time I've like came to their neck of the woods. So it was really nice.
Nice. What part of
Surprisingly,
Virginia was it?
literally like west of DC.
Oh, okay.
Like DC was less than 20 minutes away from us.
Oh, nice.
Is how
Right
is
on the
like
border.
yeah. Which is wild because I've been to the East Coast before, so I'm kind of familiar with how things are a little bit more closer together over there, with my
Mm.
dad being from Pennsylvania. But it boggled my mind to the whole time we were there, we did not have to travel less than an hour away to go to anywhere.
Yeah,
It was it
kind of
was
crazy.
bananas. But no, it was fun. Ironically enough, it wasn't super super cold there. They kept joking with saying that we brought in the warm weather because when it's normally supposed to be like in the mid to low 30s, when we got there, it like started getting up into like the low 50s.
Brought that
And
California sunshine.
exactly, it's like, oh man, it's supposed to be like weird weather. It's like, I mean, global warming maybe had something to do with it, but
No, we don't know anything about that, you know.
no. but but no, it was very nice. Got to see a bunch of family, got to kind of, take a look around because my partner was born there. They didn't live there that long because they ended up moving over here to California, where we are now. So it was really nice to see, like, kind of like, the other side of the family and getting to see some cool sights. We ended up, their aunt and uncle, one of them lived a little bit more west, closer to the Appalachian Mountains. And so
Okay.
we got to go over there for a day. And we ended up staying the night, and then the next day there was this old cavern that's kind of like a tourist attraction, but it's like this old cavern that some dude way way back in the day like was starting to dig out out of curiosity and ended up like turning it into like a tourist attraction. So it's literally like 260 feet below ground, and it's just all of these natural, tunnels and like caverns and pathways, and it all leads to like the very end of the cavern, where like on the ceiling there's like, these like crystal formations,
Oh, sick.
and like that's what they pride themselves on, is like these like natural like crystal formations that have been growing there for centuries. But then because one dude blasted a hole in the side, they stopped growing, but they're still there. So it was cool. Got to experience pure darkness for the first
Yeah,
time.
that cave darkness hits different.
It's really interesting. So like how they have it set up is they put lighting throughout the entire tunnel. And like they put like multicolor lights just to kind of, be fancy and stuff like that. But the idea is they only turn lights on for the portion of the tour that you're going through. And so they have to turn off the lights behind you. And so the further you're going in, the like there's just the light in the section you're in, darkness in front of you and darkness behind you. And there was a point where there's this big opening. I think they called it like the chapel. And it's like this big room that has like this very like interesting natural soundscape where you can like hit a certain rock and it creates like an echo like throughout the room. And they say like they usually have like wedding ceremonies and stuff like that, but they gave us the opportunity. It's like, okay, if you're afraid of dark, you can go around the corner. I have the lights on the other side for you. But if you want to experience pure darkness, just stay right here. And sure enough, turn off the light. Nothing. Can't see anything in front of you. There's no light to be had, and it was a surreal experience.
Yeah,
Like
just
getting
one step short of a sensory deprivation tank.
kind of, yeah, and it was just wild. And of course we got to a certain point where there was actual like a water flow, like a creek that comes into the cavern. And it's like, oh yeah, every day we kind of have to check to make sure that there's no bats to try to sneak into like the inner chambers, or one time we found a bear. And it's like it's okay. It's like, oh
Casual
cool,
bear.
sweet. And the creek's just like right there, like you're like looking at it as like the tour guide's telling you. It's like sick, awesome. Did you check before we came here just to make doubly sure? But no, it was real rad. Skyline Caverns was the name of the place. It was pretty sick. A very I loved our tour guide because she had the most like country accent, but like country darling kind of
Yeah,
accent.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it made the experience so much better. It's like okay, Huz, who's like, is there anybody else in trail behind there or something like that? And it's like, oh my god, I love her so much. She was fantastic. Super sweet. Very nice. And then what else? I went to DC for the first time ever. Never been to DC, so I got to see a
DC is a
lot
cool
of.
city.
It's a cool city, also smaller than I thought it was.
Very small.
Like
Much. It's. I think it's just around the same size, like the square mileage as San Francisco.
a little
SF is
bit,
only 7 square miles.
yeah. Because like I don't know why, but like growing up, like the the thought, like the imagination just like ran wild. It's like, oh, DC must be this huge place. You have, you know, the White House is in one section, and then like you go to the mall and it's like the Lincoln Memorial's one place, and everything else, and the Pentagon's
No, but
probably like some corner
no,
of the
it's all
state.
right there. You can see it all from
Legit,
one point or the other.
the freeway we drove onto to get into the city drove right past the Pentagon, and I was just like,
Yep.
is that the Pentagon? Is it just like sitting right there in the entrance of the city? I didn't realize that it was just there.
Yep.
You-
I went to DC pre 9/11,
oh boy.
and I mean, it was a trip. You used to be able to, I don't know, sure you might still be able to, but when we went, we actually did a tour of the Pentagon.
Oh, damn.
And that was crazy because so you're being led on the tour by, I assumed he was a Marine of some sort. He was some kind of soldier for sure. But the
Hmm.
entire time that we were walking through the Pentagon, he was walking backwards,
Oh, so you just keep an eye on everybody.
keeping an
Just
eye
like,
on everybody in the group. The craziest part was, you'd be walking past and like some senior officers would be walking by, and without skipping a beat, like he maybe sees them out of his periphery or something, but he would always pause and salute, hello sir, good morning sir, and we were all just like, how does he know that they're walking towards him? Something. I mean, it was
it's
an
like
absolute trip.
the instincts you must like learn just by doing that every single day.
It was a trip. I don't know if you know this funny story about the Pentagon. Um, so in the center of the building, they have a
Mhm.
coffee shop
Oh,
right there. And during the
okay.
Cold War, when the Russians would fly their spy planes over, the cafe that was there, they thought it was some super secret like base of operations something, because the spy planes would just see a bunch of people coming in and out, and it was actually designated a target, a military target within the
What the
Pentagon,
fuck?
because the Russians were like, "Oh, that's like the entrance to some super secret base." Like, nope, that's just where everybody goes and gets their coffee and bagels for breakfast.
It's like, quick, there's a message in the foam. You must look at the foam. The
Exactly.
secrets will be revealed.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, you got to drink your latte to get to the secret, the secret
Someone
message.
count the poppy seeds. It must be a code of some kind.
Yeah, I mean
Damn,
that
I
whole
didn't know
trip.
that. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I learned about that in college, and I went and talked to my dad about it because he's a big, military buff, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it had like there was like a bunch of news about it after the Cold War and all this and that." It completely blew my mind. But
Jeez.
yeah, I mean, the Pentagon's really cool, and yeah, like I was saying, like you can literally see everything from you're at the Lincoln Memorial, the White House is like right over there, the
Dude,
Senate building is right over there.
it was so wild because so we did like the mall tour, like we went to the
Mhm.
Lincoln Monument. We walked past the Washington Monument because it was super fucking busy there. And we ended up going to the American History Museum and then the Natural History Museum, which was really
Yep.
sick. But before I kind of like just gloss over that real quick, when we were done for the day and we were walking back to where our car was, we were walking back down the strip, and my partner saw a sign. And it's like, oh, it says like the White House that way. It's like, oh, I guess the White House must be like somewhere in the distance. And I was like, oh, sick. And I kept walking, and I just like look to my right again, and I look through the trees, and I see shit, the fucking White House is right there.
Yeah, yeah,
It
there's the
was
rose
so fucking,
garden right
it's literally, it's
there.
literally less than 3 blocks away. What the,
Yep.
it like legit, it messed with my mind just of like how close everything was. Like, I always like imagined everything being just like so spaced out and like distant, but like, no, you could literally see everything in like one afternoon.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of like New York is a big city, but because it's like built up instead of built out, like you can walk
Hmm.
from the southern end of the city all the way up city uptown like in 2 hours tops if you don't stop for anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that was pretty wild, and of course we did some museum watching. Went to American History Museum, hunted down Kermit because there was a Kermit in there.
Yeah.
So I took an obligatory picture of that. Saw some really cool stuff there. Saw a an old like sailing vessel that had like cannons on it still, which was kind of sick. You could like walk up right to it and just kind of like look inside the ship and stuff like that. It was
Hmm.
pretty cool. And of course, I was told that it was an obligation that we had to go see the dinosaur bones because I
To see the dino
in
bones.
throughout my entire life I have not seen dinosaur bones. Even as a kid, I have never gotten the opportunity to. So my partner was like, "We, I am taking you to go see real dinosaur bones."
Yeah, man.
And it was real cool. However, I will have to say, Smithsonian, why did he do the Triceratops dirty like that? Like the display was like a T Rex like biting down on like a defeated a Triceratops. I was like, oh come on, man, you gotta do me like that. But no,
Couldn't
it was
even
really
show like that classic picture of the T-Rex and the Triceratops fighting
no. This was like after the fight where like the
post
Triceratops
hunt.
lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it was done for. Nah, it was. But yeah, no, it was real cool. It was really nice to kind of finally get to see a bunch of the stuff that I've always been told about. Like me and my partner have been together for like we're going on like our 16th year, and like they've always been telling me about like, okay, when we go back to Virginia we have to like do this and this, and it was really nice to be able to do that. And plus their birthdays on New Year's Eve, so we spent New Year's Eve in Virginia, so it was kind of really nice, just like sweet, we finally did this. Like
yeah.
we tried planning to do this for so long and it just never could happen, but now we got to a point where it was able to come to fruition. So it was a real nice vacation.
That's awesome, man. How does a Virginia New Year's compare to a California Bay Area New Year's?
Well, it happens 3 hours earlier.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know. Our area didn't see much action. we
Okay.
assume that we assume that everybody pretty much goes to DC because
Mm,
it's
that
so
makes sense.
close.
Yeah.
We we were told that there was like maybe a firework or two that got set off, but it was mostly quiet where we were, which was nice. We didn't really need that much. The family that we were staying with had like 3 dogs. So it's like, it's kind of nice that there wasn't a lot of fireworks because one of them was like very like skittish and the other one was very
Hmm.
old. So it was just like, let those dogs like just have peace and quiet. But yeah, and so there's one thing I wanted to kind of bring up to you because I know you are a big board game fan.
Yes.
So when we were there, we tried to find the closest Barnes and Noble because we wanted to pick up stuff for the.
Barnes and Noble, a real bookstore?
I know it's so wild, but because we met their little cousins that were like we've never met them before. Like even my partners, like because they're so young, like we just haven't been there in a long time. So it's like we want to get him something for Christmas, because we were getting together. And of course, I saw a table of board games and I couldn't help myself. And so I bought a game called Tiny Epic Dungeons. It is a
Oh,
compact, uh, like D&D style dungeon crawler
okay.
made by Gamelin Games. And I knew nothing about it. I saw that it was a very compact game that says that it was easy to get started. And so I was like, oh, you know, grab it, maybe play it with some of their cousins and stuff like that and have a good time. Boy, let me explain to you my experience with this game. So the gist of it is that there is a bunch of like dungeon cards, right? That depending on how many players there are, you kind of shuffle and make a deck. And then the whole point is that is a two-phase dungeon. The first one is that you have to try to navigate the dungeon to find the like the chamber door to the boss. And in order to do that, you have to kind of blindly go to different rooms of the dungeon, and each tile flips over and you might find like, oh, there's a goblin you have to fight, or oh, there's a trap that you have to kind of disarm or you'll get hurt, and or some kind of ability checks and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And the more you do that, the more not so much experience you gain, but there are weapons and artifacts that you can collect that give you different abilities and stat bonuses and stuff like that. And what amazed me is that there's even like item sets. So like, there's sets of gear that if you collect all of them, it gives you like exponential bonuses and like different like super abilities that you can use against like enemies and bosses.
Oh,
And
nice.
so you go through that and you have a deck full of bosses that you randomly pick before the game starts. And so you don't know who you're fighting until you find the key to open the door to the lair. And afterwards, you just kind of fight and, you succeed, you don't succeed, but then you pretty much have a lot of customization, a lot of variables that can basically, you can play this game multiple times. It will never be the same, which I thought was really neat.
Right.
But the one thing that surprised me the most is that this game actually came with minis.
Oh, nice.
So there's like 6 different classes in this game, and each of them has their own mini. And then each little like mini enemy character type has like these little wooden like cutout pieces, right?
Nice.
And so I was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty tight. And they have like a phone app tutorial thing that is kind of confusing. And I ended up just looking up a YouTube app like tutorial for it that made it
Mhm.
make a lot more sense. But yeah, it was just a really interesting little game that I picked up, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. And so I'm hoping to play it more and more with different people if they want to play.
Yeah, that
And,
sounds like a great time. Looking at chat here, we got our OG Joel in the chat
oh
over
shit,
here talking about, so when we get in the paint party together, paint some
get
minis,
the paint party. Oh, I don't know
get
about paint
real
party.
nerdy with it.
So here's the thing. For me, I've always avoided painting when it comes to like
Yeah,
models because I don't know how well I will do, and also I don't know if I want to invest in painting.
I've got a couple friends. Um, One of them, you're familiar with our homie Derp.
Hmm.
Big mini painter, and I've picked their brains about something. It's a quite an investment. It's not just so simple as like, oh, you just go to the Hobby Lobby and pick up some paints. Like, no, you got to get real detailed with it. You got to get
Yeah.
your primers, and what, you got to get your different paints. You got to get your specific paint brushes. It's a real financial commitment, but
Is
everyone
it?
that I know that does it, they really love doing it. And they all have different techniques of doing it. Like my friend of mine that we play Dungeons and Dragons with, he's a big Warhammer guy too, and
Oh
so he's
yeah.
always showing off his latest Warhammer models that he's painted. And
Custom.
oh yeah, cause he either does like the painting as advertised, like on the boxes that he buys them on, or he'll like do his own custom colors and whatnot. But I'm always amazed, and he does the classic like set the figure on like a bottle cap or something, so that you can
Oh,
like
I've seen
on a
that tech.
stick you
Yeah,
can like hold it. Yeah,
that was wild. Joel and Chess is about 20 plus hours in, a lot to learn, but it's fun. Real kills time painting.
yeah. I imagine
I
if you get really into it, it can get kind of cathartic.
Oh, for sure. Like, cause same with like building models or like doing like Lego stuff like that. Like, I can imagine like you can get lost
Oh
in
yeah,
just painting one figure, let alone like the dozens of armies that like Warhammer people have to paint all the time.
yeah, yeah. We used to play Magic the Gathering at a local bar near me. They had like a big
Oh.
table that we'd show up and we'd take the whole table up, play some Commander games. But there was another group of guys there that they were big Warhammer people, and I mean, we would just shoot the shit, talking to them, listening to them. One guy, he was like, I got 10 different armies that I have to make sure that I'm always keeping painted and updated. And oh, sitting there, and just not even the financial investment of getting the paints, but the financial investment of getting the new minis when the
Oh
new sets come
God.
out. I mean, my buddy, he just there's a new set. I don't know what the race of people is, but they're like rat people.
Oh,
He's real big on
interesting.
the rat people. That's his thing. There's a new set that just came out. Like I guess you would call it like an expansion set.
Okay.
Uh, with new models and everything. And we're all like, dude, don't you have enough rat people? You can never have enough rat people.
Never. Well, you know, more power to you. You know,
Exactly. That's
everybody
what I
has to
say.
have their niche, and if it's a race of rat people, good on you. I hope you steal all the pizza. Hope you get all the cheese.
Take him to New
Um,
York, you'll fit right in.
Now I just imagine like he customizes all like this rat army, and like they're all like different. I don't want to say stereotypes of like New York, but it's like it's like, what if it was like the rat mafia?
You paint them up in like gray and like with white lines, get the classic like mafioso striped suit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like, I see the Emperor doesn't want to make a deal with us. That doesn't run good by us. Rats.
You come here on the day of my daughter's birthday. You don't bring the cheese.
Now I'm going to take your knees.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's
the best
cool.
part is, I'm sure that someone could take that and run with it, and it would be totally fine.
Hmm. If that showed up at a tournament, I would allow it.
Oh, 100%.
Mm. But yeah, so Tiny Epic Dungeons, I thought was really cool. And apparently there's also like different versions of this too. Like
Okay.
like apparently like Tiny Epic is like a series of board games that's just all like small, compact, but like very you know, has like a bigger scope than you would realize for like such a small package.
I wonder if you could like get a couple of the different versions together and put them together into like one big game. You can have like
I don't know.
multiple bosses.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I have
I
to, I have to
definitely have
double
to check
check
this
that.
game out.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so kind of did that a little bit. Other than that, this winter break was pretty chill, I would say. Finally got into Balatro.
I don't know what that is.
Oh boy, okay. Well, I get to explain something that might not make sense. So Balatro is a game that came out very earlier this, or I guess in 2024 because now it's 2025. So it came out early 2024. It is a roguelite. It's a roguelike that's based around poker hands.
Interesting. Okay.
So what the game mechanic is pretty much you have like a 52 deck of cards, and each deck has a different like little bonus. Like one gives you an extra hand to play for each round, or like another one has you get extra discard for your run, or like something. Some of them gives you extra poker chips or other things like that, and pretty much you go through. I think it's like nine different. They call them antes, but
Okay.
it's nine different kind of rounds of playing. And so basically you start off with like a small bid, like big bid, and then the boss level. And so each one has a different like cash value that you have to hit before you run out of hands to play. And basically how you would do that is you upgrade your cards that do special different perks. Like some of them gets you bonus chips, some of them give you multipliers for your score. You get jokers that have special abilities that work with things like every time you play like a two pair, your multiplier increases by +2 or something like that. And of course, like other different cards that give you special bonuses. And basically, you have to figure out a strategy that will work for you in order to beat 9 rounds of Balatro. The kicker is every boss battle you do has a kind of throws a monkey wrench into the game. So like you could be making your deck so like you have mostly face cards so you can get higher values, but then
Hmm.
you'll run into a boss like maybe like five rounds in that's like, okay, all face cards are flipped upside down so you don't know which ones are which. And so you just have to play them blind, either discard them or play them blind, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is just like using a normal, regular deck of cards.
At first, because this is a video game,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
but like it starts out as like a regular deck of cards, but then you keep upgrading it, changing it, discarding cards, adding more cards into it. But yeah, it came out really early in 2024, and it just kept steamrolling all year long. And it went from being only on Steam to now it's like out everywhere. So you can play it on console, you can play it on your phone. It's everywhere. But yeah, I started playing it over winter break, and I've been like kicking it on every night, trying to do a round, seeing what I get, unlocking new decks. They recently just started doing collabs with other indie games, so it's like you have Dave the Diver deck theme cards, you have
Uh-huh.
like Cult of the Lamb themed cards. It's pretty cool. I highly recommend it if for anybody that's interested in that kind of thing, because it's weird because you think of it as a card game, but it's more of a roguelike than it is a card game. It just so happens to be revolving around poker.
Interesting. Okay. And is this
Eh,
like on the like Apple Store, Google Play
yeah,
Store, or oh, interesting.
Google
Okay.
Play Store, Apple Store. You can buy it on Switch, PC, console, tablet, whatever. It. They've done a real good job of making sure that everybody can play it.
Okay.
And what's the most amazing thing of all is that the game was made by one person.
Ah, not some
So
big dev team behind it.
nope, just one singular dude made this game that ended up being like a game of the year contender. So it's real cool.
Interesting.
Like it has a lot of high praise, and after playing it for a little bit, I can see why. Like
You know
it's took
what?
a
I do remember seeing this when we watched the VGAs. I do remember
Yeah,
seeing something about this. Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
had they
Okay.
had the collab trailer in the
Yeah.
VGAs. Yeah. So yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody out there that hasn't given it a try yet because it is definitely addicting. It's kind of funny. It's up to the point. This past Friday, I went to a local wrestling show, and two people I went with before the show started, you know, because I was like talking to some other person. I turned to my left. They were both playing Balatro on their phones. And it's like, are you guys playing Balatro right now? And he's like, yeah, we just started playing. And it's like, it's sick, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, I can't stop playing. It's so addicting.
Oh man, I'm definitely gonna need to check this out now.
It's pretty sick. And I love it because it's just one of those kind of games where it doesn't require you to like grind out for forever. You can literally just pick it up, play it a few hands, and just drop it. And you don't even have to like finish a run. You can pause it and come back to it, which I really appreciate.
Okay.
It doesn't make me because I hate games that have you do like roguelike runs like that. But then it's like, oh, well, if you stop playing now, it's going to end your run. You
Yep.
should have been
Yep.
playing until the end. It's like, well, motherfucker, I have to go to
Like I got
bed.
shit to do. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, can't recommend it enough. Really fun. Other than that, I just been doing my thing, trying to figure out life.
Yeah. 2025. Here we are. Gotta start thinking about what we're doing.
You know who else needs to start figuring out what they're doing? Nintendo.
Nintendo needs to get
Nintendo. Love that. Love that
closer.
segue. The perfect setup. But yeah, if unless if there's anything else you wanted to bring up, I think maybe go into some nerdy news conversation.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So the biggest news that's been happening this week that I felt like it would be fun to kind of talk and speculate along with everybody else on the internet is that there have been reports that as of now, which is Tuesday night, that Nintendo is might possibly be revealing the Switch 2 this Thursday.
I saw something about that in the on CNET today.
Yeah. Now it is just speculation and rumors, but it's speculation and rumors coming from very, very notable sources. So, and Nintendo's the kind of company that will announce something the day before that it's happening. So basically right now we're on like Wednesday watch to see if like Nintendo's like, hey, you might want to check in on Thursday. We're going to be doing something.
Keep your eyes and your ears open. Might have some news for you.
Yeah. But I didn't delve super deep, but I delve into a little bit of the rabbit hole that I'm now kind of inundating you into a little bit. But the speculation started because about a week ago or so, Nintendo's social media account, I believe on Twitter, changed their banner profile to Mario and Luigi pointing to the center of like a white background. And people find that significant is because back when right before they announced the Switch, they changed their banner on their profile to that exact same picture.
So they're thinking that there's an announcement coming soon.
Yeah. And then also what was helping the rumors is that this past week was CES, the Consumer Electronics showcase, or I
Yeah,
believe that's
Consumer
what it's called.
Electronics Showcase. Yeah.
Thank you. And there was a third-party peripheral, video game peripheral maker that was showing off products for the supposed Switch 2, and they had a mock-up of what was supposed to be like whatever version of the Switch 2 that they were given, right?
Yep.
And so it was just right on the display floor. They were showing it off. It wasn't the real system. It was like a 3D printed kind of like mock up. But it's like, okay, they're showing off Switch 2 stuff before the Switch 2 is announced. That must mean that something's happening soon. And it just kept snowballing from there to like the point where it's like, okay, well, it's rumored that the Switch 2 might be announced on Thursday, with a release on like maybe May or June, or I think even April, which is really close.
Really soon. Which I've
So,
been reading on the Redditosphere that some people are like, well, we don't know how long they've been working on this,
oh,
but
for
we're
sure.
just now finding out news about it, and it's the same year release as all the stuff's been coming out.
Hmm.
Been seeing some mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. And it just keeps getting even weirder because like there was like releases that like apparently somebody like took a picture of like the motherboard for the Switch 2 and it was like showing off like what could possibly be running into it, and like we had the reports like a few years ago saying that the NVIDIA processor that's in it is going to have like DLSS like AI upscaling, so
Yep.
that it's possible that like the Switch 2 games could like upscale to like 1080p, maybe even 4K almost, which isn't that hard to believe because the stuff that NVIDIA has been doing recently has been pretty amazing as far as like their upscaling technology has been
Oh, big time.
concerned.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could be getting finally like a pretty beefy Nintendo console, especially for like the successor to one of their best selling home consoles in a long time.
Yeah. I've seen some uh, data mined info that no, it's all take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
But there are rumors that this new device is going to have anywhere between 5 to 10 times the processing power as the Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck was already supposed to have, some
Really?
new agey, high end processing power. And the Switch 2, they're saying allegedly is going to be significantly better than that.
I didn't hear that. That's wild.
Yeah, I
What?
can send you some links later.
Yeah, please do. What I did see is that there's the possibility that it's going to be able to accept like micro SD express cards.
I saw that, yeah, which would
So
be
that
huge.
would actually make more sense because like the processing power on those things, or like not the power, but like the speed of
Hmm.
which it would load things up would be like tremendous. I saw other kind of like reportings and like screenshots of blueprints is that it also might be possible that it have two USB-C ports like on the
Yep,
console itself, which would be kind of
two
wild.
USB-C ports and two HDMI ports. That's what
That's
I've seen.
insane.
So two HDMI ports with allegedly with the the increased processing power. People are saying that there's a potential to hook it up to two separate screens at the same time. And they're
Yeah,
kind of equating it to some of those old school LAN parties where everybody would kind of get together and play the same game off on multiple screens, or even
that's
with
insane.
your regular PS5, that thing has just one HDMI port.
I
uh,
know.
so having uh, two HDMI ports with increased processing power with micro SD Express. I mean, the potential is for
Yeah.
hotness is through the roof there.
And what's remarkable is that if the mock-ups are true, or at least they're close to what the actual Switch 2 is going to be, size-wise, it's bigger than the original Switch, but it's thinner than a Steam Deck, which would be
Yep.
insane. if that
The
were
main thing that
true.
I'm really excited for is the actual ergonomic grips on the Joy Cons.
Yes,
Yeah,
I did
because
see
I
that.
gotta be honest. I got the OLED last year, and it's great. It's better than the original Switch, but the flat back is killer on my wrist.
Dude, that's why as soon as they became available, I bought a Satisfy grip. Like I
Yeah.
cannot hold my Switch. Like I rocked no grip for maybe the first year. And then once I found out about Satisfy grips, I bought one immediately and I never turned back. I bring that with me wherever I go. I will
Oh
not
yeah.
use my Switch without it.
I mean, yeah, for me, like I'll bring the Switch when we travel. I pack up the dock and my controller because I'm not gonna sit at the airport like trying to hold my Switch together. Like I'll set it up on a little table or something and
hmm
bring out the controller and play it that way. Like I don't give a shit.
uh, and like to what you're saying about having it be on like multiple screens, I also saw the rumors that the possibility of it being able to cast
Yep.
to the dock, and then people were talking about how that could give the potential to having ports of 3D or like DS and 3DS games.
Mm-hmm.
So like you
So
would
that you
have like the
could.
game on like the screen, but then you still have the touchpad ability of like what the Switch can do
Yep.
and be able to use that. So it's like, and not to mention the new magnet lock technology that they're
Oh,
using
thank God.
for the Joy Cons.
I cannot stand the slide rail for the Joy Cons because every time you try and like click it in, you end up pushing a button you don't mean to or something.
Or
Yeah,
like,
having that mag lock is gonna be a total game changer.
and also just the fact that after a while, like the rails will just get loose on the
Yep,
Joy-Con and it'll start to like have that little wobble to it.
yep. And so
So
it
yeah,
starts connecting and disconnecting. Yep.
and so that would be a really good game changer. But also, apparently, from what's being reported, like I'm saying, this is just being reported. I don't know if it's true. The new Joy Cons that'll come with it have like the same kind of sensor that is in a PC mouse.
Yep.
And so the room like the hypothesis is that it'll be used so that you could use like point and click like PC games on the Switch. And I'm just
Uh,
like
I mean,
that'd be very
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that'd be like very kind of just like because I know it's the Switch 2 and like they have to one up the Switch, which is already like daunting, but like this I feel like this would be like above and beyond something that Nintendo's like done in a long time.
There's a lot of really cool things coming out just with the Joy-Con specifically. And I mean, I think personally, the big thing that I'm really excited about is allegedly they have fixed the stick drift.
Hey, asterisk.
Every single Joy-Con that I have bought, and I've bought several at this point to replace, older ones, they always end up with that godforsaken stick drift. And now I don't know I mean, I don't know what goes into fixing that, but the reports are that Nintendo has heard our pleas and they have finally decided to start looking into it and they're fixing the
I
stick drift.
mean,
Because even on my OLED, which is still relatively new, I bought it brand new in box after about 6 months, stick drift.
no.
Yep.
Damn. I mean, it's nice that maybe eventually like, Nintendo found out that Holofax sticks like exist.
Yeah.
That almost
But
guaranteed that stick drift is no longer a thing.
like
So
turns out we've had the solution to this problem all along.
I'm just hoping that with the bigger size, the Joy Cons are also just a little bit bigger because that's the one thing that I've always had a hard time with, especially just like with these mitts.
Yeah.
Like using the Joy-Con is just so hard to do because it's like you have to do the little claw thing, and then like the from what I've seen, apparently the shoulder buttons on like the Joy-Con itself would be bigger
They are
and easier to
bigger.
press in,
Yep. Yeah,
which
and
is
I
be
think they're
nice.
also doing away with the little tiny buttons inside the like where the connection is, like on
Yeah,
the slide rail. They're doing away with those, and they're merging it into the rumors are that there's a new C button,
yeah,
which
that's what.
kind of gives like a throwback to remember the old N64 controllers that had that underside button
Oh yeah,
on like on the
hmm
middle part of the controller.
yeah,
So I mean, it sounds like they're kind of getting a little bit back into their roots with the design,
that'd be nice.
which is good to hear.
I all I know is I'm glad that they've kind of already confirmed that everything that's on the Switch library is moving forward.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it
So
seems
you
like
won't lose any playability of your game.
yeah, and like the whole Nintendo Switch Online service is being made to be brought over to every single iteration of console that they're going to be making in the future, which is great. It's only a good thing. But of course, I think one of the most interesting things that was kind of announced, or not announced, but like also like talked about this week so far, like just pointing towards the possibilities of what the Switch 2 can do, is that it was apparently reported that Ubisoft is planning on bringing over a bunch of Assassin's Creed games, notably Mirage. Konami is apparently bringing over Metal Gear Solid Delta
Oh shit.
for the Switch. And it was also rumored that some other, what you consider like beefier titles could also be coming to the Switch as well. So just like that idea in mind makes me very hopeful that, well, actually, oh, the other one I couldn't remember off the top of my head, but apparently they're saying that possible Call of Duties would be coming to the Switch too, like modern Call of
Interesting.
Duties.
Okay.
So
Playing Black Ops 6 on the Switch.
yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly the quality of said versions would be, but the idea that that is floating around makes me very hopeful that third party developers are taking the Switch 2 seriously because they know what it could do and they know that it is going to be strong enough to be able to bring modern games to Nintendo and not have them be ports of very popular games, no, like no doubt, but like older games. Like it was very cool to see like Skyrim and
Hmm.
like Witcher 3 and other stuff like that come out when the Switch came out. But it's like those games were already pretty old at that point. But it was
Oh
amazing
yeah.
that they're able to play on the Switch. It was fantastic. So to have an experience like that again, but with modern games, like games that are coming out now, I think would be a very, very good sign for Nintendo and for fans of Nintendo to be like, okay, Nintendo's back in the like yeah, their console is still going to be technically not as powerful as like a PS5 Pro or an
Right.
Xbox Series X, but they are back in contention to being like, hey, this is a very viable console, not just for Nintendo properties, but for third party as well, which makes me pretty
Yeah.
excited.
Well, I'm as excited as I am for the potential for new games, especially seeing some of how a lot of these game companies are going back to like some of their old titles that we saw at the Video Game Awards. There's my cat. She's very
Eh,
excited about the Switch news too, as you can tell. Um,
It's like, where's Nintendo cats?
yeah.
I want Nintendo cats.
Oh my God, I spent so many hours on Nintendogs. It's kind of
Honestly, if a new Nintendogs got announced, I'd be excited for it.
I had a great time with it. It was a really fun game. But, all that is to say, I'm curious to see what kinds of other games, old school Nintendo games could potentially see a remaster. Um, I
Interesting.
as a big Pokemon fan myself, I know we've gotten some remasters of um, some older Pokemon games. We had like Heart Gold and Soul Silver on the DS, and then we had Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for the Switch.
Hmm.
Um, I'd be curious if they were going to do more remasters of that franchise in particular. Because I mean, you see Pokemon fans everywhere saying, "When is this game going to get remastered? When is this game going to get remastered?"
I mean, the next one on the list is Black and White.
I saw that. And I am super excited about it.
It has to be coming because we know that there is the new Legends game coming out
Yep.
sometime this year. They don't. I'm assuming they haven't released a date yet because it is going to be coming out on the Switch too as well.
Oh yeah.
So they probably want to wait for that. But you'd have to think that if 10th gen is not ready yet, that Black and White remake would be the next thing on the list. And I hope so. Because I remember the Black and White original, I felt like was the next, as far as like the evolution of the Pokemon games, I felt like that was like the first step into like Pokemon is changing and is
Yep.
evolving. Because it was like it was actually funny. We were just on a buddy of ours podcast talking about this. The black and white versions were so cool because like when you got to like the big city portions and you just start seeing the skyscrapers jut out into like a almost 3D, like 2.5D,
Yep.
and like giving you that dimension that Pokemon hasn't had before, to imagine having that game, but then also put it into like the more modern thing where it's like a bigger open world and you have the arts like the stylings of like a sword and shield or a scarlet and violet with
Yep.
without the the issues that the games had. They were still fun,
Well,
but like
that's kind of what I'm wondering about too. Is because the Scarlet and Violet that was supposed to be like the most advanced Pokemon games to come out, and those games were rife with
it had
bugs and all kinds of stuff. So I'm curious, if we do get a remaster, or even with the new Pokemon game that's coming out on the new system,
mhm.
is it really like, is it a game quality issue, or is it a system issue? Um,
So it's
so
always so I remember that whole debate when Scarlet and Violet came out, and it was very like a back and forth, like, oh, it's a Switch issue. It's like, no, but it's also a development issue.
yeah,
And I could see the argument for both because the Switch is an old console by that point, but also it was Game Freak has always had an issue ever since coming into the 3D
yeah.
game development cycle because they were able to bang out like very good quality games all throughout like the handheld genre, but then once it
Hmm.
came to the Switch, they they had the like Pikachu and Eevee Let's Go games, which was a really nice, also kind of like a remake of Red and Blue,
Oh yeah.
but like those games were really good. And then I don't know, ever since then, it always seemed like Game Freak had a hard time kind of adapting to the 3D realm. So I'm hoping that with the announcement of Legends ZA and the fact that they took a whole year off last year, which is something they never do.
No, which is something I've been saying that they need to do with the Pokemon games for a long time. Like, as much as I love the new Pokemon games, I love that new Pokemon games come out. Like, dude, take a break. Like,
Yeah.
let's follow in the footsteps of some of these other development companies and like really just focus on putting out a good game. Fans will be okay if there's not a Pokemon game every single year. Which, to your point, when it was a flat, the 2D models on the handheld, it was totally fine. We were fine with that.
Yeah.
And then was it Black and White or Black and White 2 where they first started to, like, on the 3DS, you had the ability to turn the 3D on and off.
So that would have been X and Y.
X and Y. Okay.
Because yeah, I believe Black 2 and White 2 was still a DS game. So the
Gotcha.
first like
Yeah.
actual like 3D would have been X and Y.
Okay. Yeah. Because I just remember I could never play with that 3D on. I mean,
Oh no.
that was also
No.
probably partly with the 3DS itself, where like the 3D was just the image on top of the image
Hmm.
uh, to give it that effect. And I would always get some crazy motion sickness, like if I looked at that screen for too long.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think they did like a study where like almost like like correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in chat or in the comments, like I think like they did like a big survey and they found out like near the end of like the 3DS's life cycle, like only like at most 15% of the game the gaming audience actually used the 3D.
yep. Yeah, and
So
even those that did, they were still fully functional without the 3D on.
mhm.
Because I had a bunch of 3DS games and I almost exclusively played with it off. It was so hard to use, which, I don't know. Like I said, that's probably more to do with the 3DS itself, but also with how the 3D in the game interacts with that system.
Right.
And it just kind of seems like they haven't been able to kind of get over that hiccup of, we're still figuring out what 3D is, when so many other, you know, smaller indie game developers are able to crank out fully functional 3D games with, I mean, every game is always going to have bugs, right?
Hmm.
We're not saying that there's a perfect game out there, but there's so many games that can do it. And, the bugs will be like maybe like texture glitches, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like the grass doesn't blow in the wind or like the trees don't move, whatever. You can live with that. But like when your character is falling through the map, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
That
That's
yeah,
that's just the
that's an
problem.
issue.
Yeah.
I mean just look at the the makers of Yakuza. They like pump those games out like sometimes two a year
Oh yeah.
and
That
people
was a
love them
big
and they're
franchise. Yeah.
great.
There
um
was there's like next to no problems with them from what I remember.
yeah. I don't know. So hopefully we'll see when ZA comes out if that extra time they took did them some real good. And then hopefully if everything comes out all right and like it's an awesome game and it runs really well, especially if it's coming out on the Switch too, it like runs real good, that maybe they'll take that lesson and be like, okay, we need to make sure that the quality assurance is there and that we take their time to make sure everything functions the way we want it to.
I
Because,
mean, even just one additional year like they're taking for
oh,
ZA,
yeah.
that already that's an additional year of working on the game, which is that's already a big plus.
Because I think even though I personally didn't like the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remakes.
Oh man, those games were great.
Well, I'll say it like this: I didn't like them because it was too much like the original. I loved the art
I
style. I thought the art
Yeah.
style was very cute, even though a lot of people shit on it. I don't know why. I felt very like charming. Will have everybody be like a little chibi like 3D models, but it's still kind of in the same 2D plane as the originals were.
Yeah.
It They kept it too safe because I forget who did it, but this was the first Pokemon game that they actually gave it to a different studio to do. So it wasn't Game Freak that made the remakes for Diamond and Pearl. So I think they just played it too safe and didn't do too much to add on the new because like it's no fault of their own, but like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, they did so much to add on to that game to make it really special.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I
t-
remember when those games came out. I
it
was
was
in college,
wild.
and I remember being in line to pick up my reserved, like I got the dual edition,
Ooh, nice.
right? I remember being in line at GameStop to pick up my reserved copy, and there's all these like, little kids standing in line, waiting in line ahead of me, and I'm like, get the fuck out of my way, little kids! I've been waiting 10 years for this remake. Get
It's
out of
my
my way!
time. It's
You
my
don't even
time.
know. Yeah. And
What the
then
fuck you know
me and
about Trico? Get out of
That's right.
here.
Yeah, me and my friends, we picked up our games and we cut class the entire day that day. We stayed
Nice.
on campus, which was kind of lame, but cut class and stay on campus. But we sat on the quad, parked our asses on the quad, played some fucking Pokemon like you do.
Nice. Dude, that sounds fucking fantastic. I'm not
Oh
gonna
yeah.
lie.
I think my Alpha Sapphire is the one Pokemon game where I have not deleted my save file and started a new one.
Oh,
Because well,
interesting.
well, because it's also that's where you there's one of the games where you could use Pokemon Bank
Ah,
and you
yeah,
can
you
start
yep.
porting your Mons around.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Pokemon on that game from other generation. I got shinies on there. I've got level 100s on there. And I'm like, I can't get rid of this save file. There's too much here. I'm gonna lose all of
There's
that.
too much history.
One day they'll give us a Pokemon game with multiple save files.
You would have would they though?
I mean, why not? What's the harm in having multiple save files on a Pokemon game?
I guess that's true. They would have to do some wild to introduce that. Like I could imagine them making some goofy functionality where it's like, oh, you can transfer Pokemon like through your files, but uh,
Well,
you
and let's call it trading. So you could like I don't always have access to people that I can trade Pokemon with, which means that the mons that you have to trade to get them to evolve, you'll never get those.
bruh, the amount of times that I wish that I could trade somebody to get a golem back in the day.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Golem, Gengar, Alakazam, they're all you can never get. I used to have like level 100 Gravelers, level 100 Haunters because you could not. And I'm not going to schlep around a link cable. Who's doing that?
uh, I remember the day when uh, Fire Red and Leaf Green came out, and it's like, guess what? Buy this game, and it'll come with a wireless adapter. And it
Oh
was
my
like,
god, the
oh my
wireless
god!
adapter, dude. Oh,
And
that
then
was crazy
trying
when that
trying to
came
be a
out.
kid and struggle to figure out how that technology works and how to do it
Yeah,
correctly.
but even then, you still had to find someone
Exactly.
to trade with. I
That
mean,
bought the game.
the union room in the newer games where you could connect to the internet.
Yeah.
That was it kind of changed that a little bit. But then you still had to worry about like, am I actually going to get something out of this trade? Is the person going to send me my Pokemon back?
Are they
You
are they
know,
just gonna DC in the middle of the trade?
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean now thankfully one of our buddies from our Destiny days, he's we're friends on the Switch, so I can just hit him up and be like, "Yo, can you trade with me real quick?" And we can connect that way. So that
Oh, nice.
solves that problem. But you know, man, back in the day, you could those were mons that you could never get.
Man, I remember back in the day, like sitting next to the one kid that you knew that played Pokemon in class, and then like gave you a look, and he like looked out, and he like backpack opened slightly, and then he
Yep,
just like
he's
reaches
got the
in
Game Boy right there.
with the link cable sticking out of the
Mm.
backpack, and he's just like, just take
Like,
the
you
cable.
want you want to get in on this, man? You want some of this, man?
It's like I want that cipher, man. Give me that cipher.
Yeah, try to get that Steelix, bro.
Man, kids nowadays will never understand.
They don't know how fucking good they've got it, honestly. Like I'm saying, those kids in line for Oros. I'm like, you guys don't understand. All right. I waited 10 plus years for this. This is my time to shine.
Oh man, man, I can't wait.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
just
it's like we were saying, watching the VGAs. This is just going to be I feel like this is going to be a good year for games. Whatever the Switch 2 ends up being, it sounds like it's definitely going to be just a major improvement on I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The Switch is a great device.
oh,
It
it
completely changed.
revolutionized the gaming. Like it
Yeah.
influenced so many other companies to start making gaming handhelds. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Like
And we got some great games out of it too. I mean, like Super Mario Odyssey, fantastic game. I think a wildly underrated game. I think Odyssey
facts.
was huge. We got some great Kirby games,
Oh my
some
god.
games in that franchise.
Kirby went into 3 dimensions
Yeah,
this generation.
the one where like it's more or less like open-y kind of world, where you can like suck up a car and turn into a car.
Yep.
I don't remember. I'm blanking on the
The
name of that.
Forgotten Lands.
Forgotten Lands, dude. That game is amazing. It's so much
It's
fun.
so good. You
Got some
literally have
great
like some
Zelda
of the
games out of
best
it
boss
too.
fights. Oh my god,
Oh yeah.
you have like the generation defining Zelda games, two of
Yep.
them in one generation.
I still think Breath of the Wild is significantly better than the sequel. I think the sequel tried a little too hard, did a little too much. Um,
I guess that's
and
fair.
everything that I was reading was that like the underworld part got a little repetitive.
Oh,
Um,
I just started heavily going into the underworld. Because I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm. It's actually kind of funny. I got to the point where I thought I was going to fight Ganondorf until I realized it was the story sequence that just makes you realize, oh, Ganondorf's here. So now you have
yep.
to go do all this other shit. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah. I just kind of stopped playing the like story in Tears of the Kingdom and was just building shit.
It's so
Building
addicting.
flying machines, building cannons. I mean, I saw some crazy builds that people were doing on TikTok. Like some people were building like walkers.
Oh, I'm
Like,
so jealous of those
yeah,
figuring
like
out how to do that.
people building. I mean, they're basically building Gundam suits.
I know. It's so cool. Giant rockets.
Yep. Yeah. I mean that I didn't put that much time into Tears of the Kingdom, but as soon as I started being able to craft, I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not really interested in this story anymore. I'm gonna play to build shit. It's basically
Right.
Minecraft in Zelda. Like, what can
Right.
I build?
And then I guess even though we don't like to talk about 2020, we can't not talk about how Animal Crossing like saved
Oh my god.
like
I
at
bought
least our summer
Yep.
or until the
I
year.
got Animal Crossing for my fiance and she became obsessed with it. I mean, yeah. Animal Crossing, Super Smash Bros,
Oh my god, ultimate.
Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart,
So
was that Mario Kart 8 like had real DLC too.
I know, like, no, legit. Like by the end of its life cycle, like they made a whole new Mario Kart game within Mario Kart 8.
Yep. Yeah.
And then there's rumors that apparently there might be another Mario Kart
A
game
new
coming with the
Mario Kart
Switch
game coming
too.
out. So I mean,
So
this is what I'm saying. Like, the as much kind of, I mean, I would say all in all, it's like 75-25 in terms of the positive versus negative reviews for the Switch.
mhm.
But you can't deny that it has just given us some really great genre changing games have come out of it.
Oh, 100%.
Luigi's Mansion 3,
Yeah.
great game.
And it literally saved all of the Wii U exclusives because they
Oh my
literally just
god.
ported
Oh,
all of the Wii U exclusives, but for good reasons because there were a
Yeah.
lot of good games that nobody played
Well,
because
because the
nobody
Wii U
wanted
was
the
a
Wii U.
total flop.
Exactly. And then not to mention just how well the Wii U handled indie games
Yes. Yeah.
because it literally was like Steam, like the pipeline was Steam, Switch, consoles maybe,
Yep.
like other consoles maybe. Like I have played more indie games on my Switch than I ever had in my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, the big one for the Switch that and for Nintendo that I think was that they released like emulator packages of all their old school games.
Oh
I
yes.
mean, I never had a GameCube, so I didn't play any of the old like Zelda games. Like, I'm talking like the old Zelda games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I finally got to play Majora's Mask.
Hey,
You know, like, and I've told
got
friends that, and they're like, "What do you mean you've never played Majora's Mask?" I'm like, I never played it, but I finally got to, and I got to play it on the big screen, and
oof.
I got to, can take it with me when I travel. Get to play these games on the airplane, play them in the
Yep.
car. If you're not driving, hopefully,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to be
don't
safe.
play games and drive. um, but yeah, I mean, the Switch, like by and large, like really did change the landscape of, as you were saying, of the handheld game industry, and it got a lot of developers excited again about making handheld games. It was no longer just about PC, Xbox, PlayStation.
All
I
right.
mean, the Switch really became a real contender for putting out high quality games um, that you didn't really get to kind of experience in a way. I mean, like just throwing it back to Pokemon, playing Pokemon on your television is crazy.
Dude, I I remember when I first tried doing that, I was just like, it kind of reminded me of. Do you remember for Pokemon Stadium
Yeah,
that it came with, or like you could buy like the Game Boy like little add-on in the back so that you could slide in the Pokemon versions to put your Pokemon in the game, but also they had a section where you could just play the game
yep,
on your console, and the fact that that is just now normal thing
yeah.
and
It's
not like
just it's expected now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I sure I always forget that you could play Pokemon Stadium on the TV, but that's a different kind of Pokemon game.
well
Like
no
you don't
no of
get
course
to you're not walking around going from town to town and collecting gym badges and everything. It's don't get me wrong, great game. Played so an ungodly amount of hours of Pokemon Stadium. Uh,
hmm
but like I mean, what was it? Was it Let's Go? It was the Let's Go series that really was the first one to come
that
out
was the
on the
very
Switch.
first Pokemon game for the Switch.
Yeah, I remember booting that up in my bedroom on my TV in my bedroom for the first time and being like my inner child. Like if I told 10-year-old me that I'd be able to play this kind of Pokemon game on my TV, I would have been like, "What are you talking about?
It's
What do
like
you mean it's not this little like 3x3 screen?"
and now tell that inner child that this game was not only based off of the original Pokemon game, but it was based off of a mobile game that took the whole world by storm.
That's right. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
so excited.
it's gonna be a
I
good year
just
for
want
gaming.
them to announce it already. You know, I want to see what the future looks like for Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hyped for the possibility of a Thursday announcement, but again, there is a part of me also that's like the announcement with the same year release just kind of worries me just because of the current landscape of the video game industry. There's a lot going on right now, and I think, I mean, it's old news at this point, talking about how Larian Studios like really shook up the
Oh yeah.
developing world, with just creating a full game, no microtransactions, none of that. And Nintendo is, I'd say, is pretty famous for releasing games that don't have microtransactions as a major, you know, game company. Um,
Hmm.
but it really did kind of shake up things a lot when Baldur's Gate came out.
Oh
And ever
yeah.
since then, I mean, and just hearing about like how so many game companies are going through mass layoffs and everything, you know.
Hmm.
So when I compare that general atmosphere of what's going on with a new thing coming out, I'm again, I don't know how long they've been working on the Switch 2. So, maybe this has been years in the works. We don't know. I'm just really hoping that when it does come out, and if it's going to come out this year, it's going to come out this year. Really hoping that it lives up to the hype.
Oh, 100% for sure. And I think it will, mostly just because I feel like at this point, the majority of people that would be interested in it are super have been waiting for it for so long. I guess the only thing that I would be worried about is that if some people get their hopes up too high for what it could do or
Yeah.
what's like what it would entail. But I think as long as Nintendo kept close to the heart what the mistakes were for the Wii U and seeing what made the Switch so popular and then just make that better and just keep on that train, I think they'll do a good job. I think Nintendo for the company that is known for making some really weird decisions all the time.
Yeah.
I think now more than ever, just based off of what they've been doing slowly in the background, that when the Switch 2 comes out, they will be fully ready and capable to just keep on rolling, especially just with you know, the advertising of, hey, this system's backwards compatible, but it can do a lot of cool new things that this original Switch can't do, but we're not going to make you feel like this is just an add-on like they did with the Wii U, that this will be a next chapter for like the Switch family. And knowing Nintendo, I would assume it would still be very surprisingly affordable
Well, that was
for
actually going to be my next thing. I was going to say, let's talk price point,
right.
because, not to bring politics into this, but there's a lot of, stuff going around about how, consumer goods are going to be kind of getting more expensive here. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if you heard the news. The Sony executives were saying that new iterations of the PS5 could be upwards of $1,000, just
Ugh.
because of how expensive parts are going to become with
Ugh.
with some of the geopolitical news that has been going around.
Ugh.
So,
I
I
don't like
mean,
that at all.
exactly. Yeah. So, which is also, a concern of mine with a release around this time, when the politics are very much changing soon, and we're going to see some of these changes come into effect. So, price point is going to be a big factor too, because I think we all remember when the PS5 first came out, and that wasn't even about the cost of goods. That was just uh,
Can they keep making PS5s?
can they keep making PS5s because of some dude bros decided to buy up all the processing chips so they could mine their Bitcoin. But then we also had the major shipping delays, coming out of the Panama Canal. There was all that.
Yeah.
So that slowed everything. I mean, I remember sitting on the Walmart website every time I would get a drop alert for new inventory and refreshing my page to buy my PS5. Right? You know, I just I'm knock on wood, Nintendo doesn't have to go through anything like that. Um,
Mhm.
because I mean, as much it's not going to stop people from wanting to buy. Let's be real. People are going to
No.
buy it, but what I'm really worried about is there will be some of what we saw with the PS5 when it first came out, with people buying up dozens of devices and then reselling them for two, three times the price. If
Yeah.
heaven forbid there's any kind of shortage problems with anything.
True. Also, actually, you just reminded me. The one big issue that was related with the Switch's launch is that they did not make enough because
Yeah.
they didn't know how well the Switch was going to sell, so they under produced
Yep.
based off of the demand, and so hopefully they learned their lesson. And I want to say I believe that there was reports saying that they are producing more Switch 2s to try to meet demand, or just like speculated demand.
Yep.
So hopefully that, like, the supply won't be an issue. But yeah, you're right. The thing to be concerned about is, depending on when it releases, like how much is it going to be? Because like Nintendo has always been the one company that's always had the more market friendly, consumer friendly price point as
Yep.
far as gaming goes. If the Switch 2, like in my prediction, if the Switch 2, because the Switch,
The
I want
OLED
to
was
say
329.
the OLED was 329. The original Switch when it came out, it that one may have gotten close to 400
When it first came out, it
when it
was close
first
to
came out.
400, but they immediately dropped the price
Drop
down.
price
Because I got my
when the light
original
came
Switch.
out.
Yep. Because I got my original Switch for, I think it was like 279.
Oh shit! Damn. Okay,
Which, let's be real, that's a steal when
that's
you're
a
talking about a gaming
major steal.
console. Yeah.
So with the supposed technology that it can have versus just the popularity of just the console family itself.
I'm thinking like 499 on release.
499.
If the OLED was already over 300 and this is going to be better, I'm thinking
That's
I'm thinking 399 to 499. That's going to be your price range.
damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see it being in the 400s for sure, but like 500. I mean, it has to happen eventually just with technology, right? But
Oh yeah.
like for it being like just a couple bucks short of what the Xbox and PlayStation 5 was at launch. Whew,
Yeah.
damn. Well, we'll
And
see.
when you take into account, because I waited for Black Friday to get my OLED, and when you take into account just current shopping trends, where
Mhm.
companies aren't offering as steep a discounts as they used to. I mean, you're not seeing Black Fridays like we did, 10, 20 years ago, where people are camped out outside stores at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Nah, man. Black Friday starts on November 1st.
Well, there's that too. So, but I'm just talking about like the discount. I mean,
Hmm.
people are like, I was seeing stores being like, yeah, 15% off Black Friday sale. It's like that's not a sale. Let's
Yeah.
be real. So you throw that in, just overall shopping trends with a potentially higher price point. I don't know. It's a tough call to say, what release day for the. I mean, again, it's not going to stop people from buying it on release day. Let's be real.
Hmm.
But it makes one wonder, what
Yeah.
is it going to look like? And this is all just to
I
say,
know.
Nintendo, hurry up and give us more information.
Exactly. That's exactly what it means. It's just
Yeah,
we have to find out.
yeah,
And, fingers crossed if reporting is right, by the time this podcast comes out in VOD, we might know already.
yeah.
But it'll be very interesting. It would be a very interesting conversation once that information comes out. And I don't know. It'll be a whole different world. Be a whole different play ball
A
game.
whole new
Whole
world.
new world. Well, with that being said, just for like a quick little fun, like uh, you know, what's the word to say? A little fun, what if? So we can kind of push aside the fact that probably Metroid Prime 4 is going to be on it. The new Pokemon game is going to be on it. We might get a new Mario Kart. What would be the one launch game that they would have to advertise to you to make you want to get it day one? Oh, uh-oh. You with me, Jovi? Oh no. Well, Joby just said his computer froze. Oh no. That's okay. We could edit all this in post. For now, for anybody out there watching right now, let me know what first party game that you would want to have, or just whatever game that you want to be at launch that would make you buy the console day one. Okay. So while we wait for Joby to get back, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time and place when Nintendo does finally decide to make this announcement. But having a lot of fun talking about the Switch 2 possibilities with everybody and with Joby. I am really hoping that when the whole thing is said and done, Nintendo has their little mini direct. They show off what the Switch 2 is. We get the trailer that we get a better picture of exactly what it's going to be. Because the perfect ideal trailer for me would have to be kind of similar to how the Switch was. The Switch trailer reveal trailer did such a good job of immediately telling you what the Switch is about. Like the Switch was a console that had the newer games, and then guess what? You're able to take it out of the dock, take it with you, you know, go to your friend's house, go to a rooftop party, whatever, play the games the way you want to play it, regardless if it's handheld, tabletop, whatever. I feel like Nintendo will have to do a good job of showing off exactly what the Switch 2 is going to do for us. Whether that be if the casting feature is what it's going to be, or if, there is going to be the possibility of having, multiple LAN parties together, like Joby was talking about, or having the 3DS compatibility. It'll be a very interesting time and place. And Joby is back.
I'm back.
Hey, yeah. You can't.
I'm
Technology
back.
can't stop us forever.
Nintendo heard me talking shit and they were like, shut this guy down quick.
He's making too much sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much you heard me, but what I was going to ask you, Joby, is, pushing aside like the Prime Fours, the Pokemons, the Mario Karts, or whatever, what day one launch title game would there have to be there to guarantee that you would want to get it day one?
Ooh, that is a good question. I mean, I gotta keep it OG. A new Mario title, I think
Oh.
would be really cool because they've been doing some really fun stuff with the Super Mario World. uh, I mean, having you got the Super Mario RPG game, which was a lot of fun. You got
Hmm.
um, the multiplayer Mario game. I mean, we've kind of had multiplayer for a little bit, but the
Yeah.
new one, which also let you build custom worlds, I thought that was really cool. So, I mean, if there's a day one Mario release, I'm in line. I'm right there.
Do you just had me thinking how sick would it be if a Mario Maker 3 was at launch? That because like every system has to have like that one game that like displays all of the functionality of like the new console.
Yep,
What if Mario Maker 3 was that? It's
that
like
would be really interesting.
if the Joy-Con does have the mouse tracking, like you can use that to finally make detailing levels in the game. Of course, whatever upgraded version of like the HD Rumble
Yep.
could have like in that factor in factoring that in, it would be really sick. Like I agree, like having a Mario title that like fully utilizes the console, I think would be really sick. I was trying to think about that too while I was riffing for a little bit, and oh no, Joey, no, oh no, he just said he got the blue screen of death. Oh, this is sad. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh no. But for I guess for me, what what would I want in a like I want to be realistic, right? Like we're most likely getting a Metroid, a Mario thing has to kind of be there. We're not getting a Zelda. We already had a lot of Zelda for the Switch, especially more recently. So I don't think we're going to be getting that. Honestly, I'd be super down if maybe we got a real good try at another Star Fox game. Like Star Fox Zero wasn't really what it was supposed to be. It just didn't hit the mark. It'd be really nice to have something like that. Or if we really wanted to get like a Nintendo game on launch, we would have to see. This is pie in the sky. This is going to be the more out there choice, even more out there than Star Fox. What if we finally get an F-Zero game. Like, let's be real. F-Zero has been dead in the water for a long time. We got the F-Zero 99 earlier in 2024. But as much as the rumors are saying that there is going to be a new Mario Kart game, which I have no doubt there's going to be a new Mario Kart game at some point in the Switch 2's lifespan, I feel like it's still kind of early, especially with all of the stuff that they did for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, they can let that game breathe a little bit more. But, like, imagine how amazing it would be to have a new F-Zero game release with the Switch 2 and kind of showing that the other Nintendo properties exist. Because, like, think about it. When was the last time Metroid was a launch title, right? And Prime 4 is gearing up to be a launch title, like, guaranteed. You know, Kirby at this point is like a king in Nintendo's world. Like, it's Mario, Link, Kirby. Like, those are the three franchises that get the most out of a Nintendo's lifespan out of all the other ones. Let's just be honest. Even though it's been 5 years, I think it's still a little bit too early for a Animal Crossing to come out, even though I think it would be really awesome if one came out. I still think it's a little too early for that. Okay. I'll leave it with this. All right. Microsoft has been doing more and more, branching out, sending games to other places, right? And before anyone stops, I'm not talking about Banjo-Kazooie. I'm not talking about Banjo-Kazooie. All right. But what if we don't get a Mario Kart? We don't get an F-Zero. What if we get a Diddy Kong Racing for the Switch 2? I know it's crazy. I know it's wild. But think about it. Microsoft is being more friendly with the other companies. Microsoft and Rare let Banjo-Kazooie into Smash. Think about it. It could be the most out there choice. Joby, if you can hear me, your computer is fighting you tonight.
It really is just giving me nervous time. I want to say real quick, Star Fox. Yes. I heard you, Star Fox. I'm changing my answer.
Oh, okay.
Forget Mario.
Here we go. Okay.
I'm trying to do a barrel roll on the Switch 2 on launch day.
What better way to forget that Star Fox Zero ever existed than to have a brand new Star Fox just in general?
Yep.
Now, I was also talking about like maybe an F-Zero, but like, F-Zero is a dead franchise, unfortunately. But as you're coming in, I was flirting with the very out there idea.
Diddy Kong Racing?
Diddy Kong, think about it. Microsoft has been more and more being like, hey, PlayStation, Nintendo, here, have some games. Like, it's like we want people to have our games. And it's like Banjo-Kazooie was in Smash.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also, like, Nintendo was getting a little bit more of Microsoft stuff, like, even before Microsoft started being more of here, like, play our games anywhere kind of thing, with like Cuphead and like some other like even Minecraft and other things like
Hmm.
that. But like imagine like we people like speculates, oh, it's gonna be the next Mario Kart game, but like
Can
Diddy
we
Kong
get a
Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing on the same level as Mario Kart 8? I think that would be a game
And you
changer.
know what? I'll even make a compromise. It doesn't even have to be a new one. It could
No, it
just
can
be
be
a
the
remaster.
OG. Yes, 100%. But like on the
Cause
same quality.
yeah, cause like what? The only other way to play Diddy Kong Racing is if you have like the N64 version, or if you even have like the DS version
Yep.
of
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing. So like to be honest, like nowadays it doesn't seem as outside of the realm of possibility at all. So hey, but Star Fox though, I think Star Fox is a more viable option, if especially if Nintendo wants to start delving back into like their other properties, like they are with Metroid, and it would be, I think, a no brainer,
I
especially.
mean, if we want to talk about like other, other company owned IPs, one of my all-time favorite games was uh the Sonic like Zero G Racer whatever game
Oh yeah.
for the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just if we're staying on like the racing track, like with Diddy Kong, if we could get another like Sonic Racers in that same kind of vein too, especially with all the hype that's going around with Sonic 3.
Hey, you
There's
never
options.
know.
We got options
We got options.
for some cool day one release titles.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I think that's gonna do it with our Switch talk. I know we had some bouts there with the PC, but is there anything else that you wanted to bring up just real quick before we kind of bring this thing home?
I mean, like gaming news, I sadly have been kind of lacking on the gaming lately. I don't have much to report on my end.
Okay. Anything in the board game realm, or even kind of just like media that
Uh,
pique your
m
interest?
Media wise, I mean, everyone's all abuzz about the TikTok news.
It's weird because I keep hearing different things of like it's going away, but now there's like a thing where there might be a bill passed where it can like survive another like 270 days,
Or
and
something.
people are going to Lemon 8, whatever
There's
that is,
there's so many new things.
or
There's
did you hear?
Lemonade, there's Neptune, there's Red Note, there's you know all these new Sky Blue. Am I making that up? I might be
I
completely
have
making
no idea. I did see though that people are intentionally going to the actual Chinese version of TikTok.
Red Note.
Is that
The,
what it
yeah.
is? Okay.
hmm And people, so my For You page on TikTok now is all these videos of these people being like, here's how to speak Mandarin, like giving Mandarin lessons
Oh my
on like
god.
TikTok Live or just posting videos of like, here's how you say certain words in Mandarin, which I just think is hilarious. That the whole premise of this ban was like, oh, it's a national security threat. China has your data. What blah 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 blah. And everyone's like, oh, China already has our data. So we'll just go
In,
straight to the
in,
Chinese
in
government.
fact, people are willingly giving it away.
We're just gonna will like, you know what? Fine. You think that it's such a threat? We're just gonna give it to them anyways. We are such toddlers when it comes to social media. We are petulant children when it comes to social media. I just think it's hilarious.
It's yeah. More power to them, honestly. If
You know,
if that's the way they go about it, cool.
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Have
so
fun.
this is what what you were talking about how like now the U.S. government is like rolling it back is because I think they this is not going the way that they expected it to. I think that they were hoping that TikTok would dissolve and that some U.S. company would buy it up for pennies on the dollar, and that we
Ah,
would all go back to Facebook and Instagram and all Twitter. And we're like, no, fuck that. We're done with those archaic social media platforms. Like we want
and
we like what we had here. And if you're gonna take it away from us, then guess what?
and
We're not gonna play by your rules.
and let's be honest. There's no company in this country that it would be willing to spend the money that TikTok is worth in the span of like T minus what day is it? Like T minus like 4 day or five
Yeah.
days. There's no way.
No. Not I mean, there was rumors that Zuck was like looking to buy it and incorporate it into Meta.
Oh God.
And everyone was like, if it becomes a Meta product, guess what? We just won't use it. I mean, that was the whole
Yeah,
thing
go.
with Snapchat. Everyone was like, Zuckerberg wanted to buy Snapchat. Snapchat gave him the big old FU and said, we're not selling. People
It's
still
like
like
we're
our
do-
platform
it's like
because
we're
it's not
doing
a Meta
just
platform.
fine.
Yeah, like people use our platform. They still use it because we're not associated with Meta.
You could just, Zuckerberg, you could just go you post on your threads.
Yeah, like,
Complain
dude,
about it.
what even was Threads?
Threads was the only option we had until Blue Sky took its prominence.
That's right. But Threads was just Twitter on Instagram. That's all it was.
It was Twitter on Instagram, except you couldn't post most anything on there. Like
Yep.
you could do like one hashtag and then most media options were like null.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, just talking about we spent so much time talking about the video game industry. It's interesting to now kind of pivot to the social media field and kind of see like, oh, it's all kind of the same. it's all
It,
it's all the same. This is just
di-
late game capitalism.
different keywords, same
Yep.
setup.
Yep. This is just late game capitalism. But the funniest part is to bring it back to video games. I was seeing that there's a part of Project 2025
Hmm.
where not only are they going after TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also going to go after, you know, video game companies
Of
that
course.
own, you know, that own projects here in the US. So you're talking League of Legends, Dota 2,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
uh, From Software. So that's Elden Ring and all the Souls games. Um, I mean, there's so many of these games that we're used to that turns out are
Didn't
owned by Chinese companies.
didn't the U.S. government just like label like what was it, like Tencent or of which company like add like a military company?
Yeah, the
It's like or
whatever
like
company it is
ByteDance,
that ByteDance, no, not ByteDance. ByteDance is the one that owns TikTok.
Tencent.
It was Tencent, and Tencent is the one that owns League of Legends and From Software. And they're saying that it's an extension of the Chinese military.
My God.
But that's but then when
Uh,
you throw into what's happening with TikTok, if this ban is successful, if it does go through, the government will probably be going after Tencent as well. And Tencent's going to say, guess what? We're based in China. We don't have to sell to a US company. We're just going to stop having League of Legends. I mean, this also includes the Arcane series because
I like that
the parent
series.
I love that series. The parent company owns the rights to that series. They're just going to say those games and TV shows, they're just not going to be available in the US. So goodbye Elden Ring, goodbye League of Legends has millions of players worldwide, and probably several 100,000 players here in the U.S. It's all potentially going to go away.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, we can safely say that SNK, with a portion of its company's ownership, goes right back to the Saudi Arabian government.
Yeah.
It will be perfectly fine.
We'll be totally fine. We just, you know what? This is really all this is just to say we just got to stick with stuff that's made in Japan. Yeah, Japanese cars, Japanese
I
toilets,
mean,
Japanese video games. It's just better if it's made in Japan, apparently.
I can't argue with that. Oh, okay. With that being said, I think this will about do it for this episode of the United Nerd Podcast. Joby, I'd like to thank you. I know you had to fight your computer for a little bit, but I'm glad that you stuck it in and hang around. We got to talk real long about the Switch and a little bit extra. So I appreciate it. Hopefully, we could have more and more conversations like this in the future.
Absolutely. I will always be here anytime you want me.
Hell yeah. And of course, anybody that's watching this live right now or in VOD, just a reminder again, there will be links in the description down below if you want to donate to the LA Regional Food Bank to help the people that are suffering through the blazing fires in Southern California. We really, really would appreciate your help if you could do it. And even if you can't donate, share the link, let people know where they can go to help out the people of LA. It would be very, very much appreciated. Like how we appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us every week. And this is only the beginning of 2025. We have a whole year of so much more to go over. There's going to be so many more things that we'll be able to talk about in the future. And we hope that you guys come along for the ride. I guess, yeah, we will be doing a lot of cool stuff. Of course, especially coming up soon. It will be our 4-year anniversary, by the way, in February. So
Hey.
we'll have to do something real special about that. But we'll talk about that again next time. Again, this has been the United Winner Podcast, where a bunch of nerdy friends come around and talk about a bunch of nerdy stuff. See y'all next time. And to remember, forever and always, keep on nerding.
Later, nerd.
Goodbye, all.